Let's talk wide receivers. Joining me today, Michael Fabiano, Sports Illustrated senior fantasy analyst, with his top 10 at the position. Babs, let's break them down and let's go in reverse order. Who's in your bottom tier of the top 10?
All right, and this will be tier 4, and I've got Michael Pittman at 10. I love him, okay? There's one wide receiver I love more than Pittman, and he plays in Dallas. We're going to talk about him. But Michael Pittman was the 17th best wide receiver last year with Carson Wentz throwing him the football. Now he's got Matt Ryan. I also talked to Reggie Wayne, who's the Colts wide receivers coach, yesterday. And when I asked him about Pittman, he said he is going to eat. I love this kid. He's going to be a breakout candidate. At number 9, Keenan Allen, who is the number 1 wide receiver for a team that has one hell of a young quarterback in Justin Herbert. Allen's always very reliable, consistent. The targets will be there. And in that deep division, they're going to have to score a lot of points. So Keenan Allen is certainly a top 10 play.
Moving up to tier 3, a couple of big names in that third tier.
And we'll start off at number 8 with Tyreek Hill. And I got to be honest with you, Jen, I'm kind of struggling with him being in the top 10. I think he's going to be one of the biggest disappointments in fantasy football, but he's still Tyreek Hill. Can Tua Tagovailoa get the deep ball to him? How many targets will he lose to Jalen Waddle and Mike Gesicki? How will the loss of Patrick Mahomes throwing him the football hurt his value? Those are all very interesting questions. So I've got Tyreek at 8, but if I had the chance to maybe not draft him and get another wide receiver or running back, I may do that in round 2. And then Deebo Samuel, he just got paid. He is at number 7. And there are clauses in the contract that reward him for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. It's almost like the 49ers were reading the minds of fantasy managers. That's a good thing. I still see regression from Deebo based on last year, but he is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, especially if he continues to be utilized in part as a running back.
Moving on up to tier 2 for your wide receivers.
And at number 6 is Stefon Diggs, who is very solid. He's catching passes from the best quarterback in fantasy football in Josh Allen. They're going to continue to run a very similar offense with Ken Dorsey. He'll continue to see his targets. Stefon Diggs is locked and loaded as a wide receiver. When at number 5, remember the guy I was talking about earlier who I loved more than Pittman? It's CeeDee Lamb. All right, I'm being a honk. That's fine. But the Cowboys, well, their wide receiver core is in big trouble right now. Amari Cooper, of course, is in Cleveland. They just lost James Washington. The targets are going to be there early and often. And who knows when Michael Gallup will be back. And at number 4, I've got Davante Adams. Now, if Adams stayed in Green Bay, he would have been my number 1 fantasy wide receiver. But going to Vegas, he loses a little bit of his luster. But he still has a great rapport with Derek Carr from their time together in college at Fresno State. And the Raiders are going to utilize him. His numbers won't be as great as they were the last couple of seasons, but still pretty solid.
All right, moving on up to the best of the best. Those guys we can feel safe taking in the first round. Who you got?
Right, in tier 1, we'll begin with Jamar Chase, who's coming off an historic rookie campaign. He's got a great rapport with Joe Burrow. Very few teams run more 11 personnel than the Bengals. You know they're going to chuck the ball downfield. This is a very young, exciting wide receiver. If you have him in Dynasty, you're feeling real good right now. At number 2, Justin Jefferson. And this one is close to the number 1 player who I think we all know is coming. But Justin Jefferson could be the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy this year. With Kevin O'Connell now leading things on the offensive side of the football as the new head coach in Minnesota, they're going to throw the ball a lot. So Justin Jefferson is well worth a top 8 overall pick. And at number 1, I have Cooper Kupp. And this is all about respect. This guy's coming off the best fantasy season ever for a wide receiver, even better than Jerry Rice in 1995. Now, with that being said, regression's coming. He's going to see regression in catches, yards, and very likely touchdowns as well. But even a little regression from Cooper Kupp means he's still going to be a top 5 player at the position. That's how good he was. So Cooper Kupp comes in at number 1. But don't be surprised, Jen Piacenti, if Justin Jefferson's the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy this season.
I will not be surprised. I've been warned by Michael Fabiano, and I'm going to be taking Justin Jefferson in a lot of my fantasy drafts. For all of Fabiano's top 10s at every position, visit us at si.com/fantasy. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you get all of our fantasy football content for 2022.